Bin Laden. Yes, you know of Bin Laden. He was the man responsible for the 9/11 terror attacks and the deaths of almost 3,000 persons. And after a decade-long international manhunt, he died at the hands of the United States military. But Bin Laden is also the name coined for the 500 euro banknote. Like Bin Laden the man, you know the 500 euro banknote exists. You know what it looks like, but you never see one. As well, its reputation is unsavory. In April this year, Bin Laden died a second time, and this time at the hands of the European Central Bank, which stopped issuing the 500 euro banknote. So why was this? Well, generally, the consensus is that international crime favors the US dollar. However, it is said that the Bin Laden became the bill of choice for the underworld soon after it was issued in December 2001. Its attraction was obvious: high value and portability. For example, 1 million Bin Ladens is just 2,000 notes, weighs 5 pounds and can fit in a small bag. By comparison, the highest value US banknote is $100. And 1 million of these is 10,000 notes, weighs 22 pounds, and you need a briefcase. So it is not surprising then that a European Central Bank survey in 2011 found that the 500 euro banknote was not commonly used by consumers for payments. In fact, most consumers had never seen one. But the 500 euro banknote is not unique in this respect. There are high-value banknotes in other currencies not commonly used by consumers. So the question is, what is all this cash being used for, if not as a means of consumer payments? Well, I am sure each of you here has a wallet in your handbag or in your pocket. So what's in your wallet? Most likely you will have some cash, but you may also have debit cards, credit cards, VTM cards. You will also most likely use your cash for low-value transactions, such as if you pop into a mini-mart to buy some coffee, or you're giving your child pocket money, although these days that might not be such a low-value transaction. As well, you may have some cash for emergencies. But for the most part, especially for high-value payments, you will not use cash. You will not use cash to buy your big screen TV because you want that electronic transaction record in case you have to return it to get a bigger one. You want your reward miles, and you certainly don't want to be carrying around large wads of cash. But for criminals, it is different. In the criminal world, cash is king. Criminals want cash, criminals use cash. Because cash, unlike other forms of payment, provides anonymity to the person paying it and the person receiving it. It leaves no electronic trail, is widely accepted, and the payment is received right away. Therefore, for those wanting to conduct criminal activities and remain undetected, cash is the answer. And reports from law enforcement agencies, intelligence agencies, and international bodies, such as the Financial Action Task Force, confirm this. So where do criminals get their cash, and what is it used for? Firstly, criminals get cash from crime. Crime pays. In robbery, the motive is financial gain, preferably cash. And right here in Trinidad and Tobago, we hear of persons being robbed on their way to buy a car with cash, or they're going to the bank to deposit cash, or they're leaving the bank with cash to pay bills. And we often hear of businesses and customers while they are in those businesses, and security vans transporting cash being robbed at gunpoint. And often, personal injury or even death accompanies the robbery. Trinidad and Tobago Police Service statistics reveal that 1 in every 335 persons was a victim of robbery each year between the period 2009 and 2013. And in drug trafficking, the drug trafficker takes no links, credit card, or checks, so retail customers pay in cash. And in other crimes as well, human trafficking, human smuggling, kidnapping for ransom, murder for hire, and corruption. These payments are often cash. And secondly, even if the criminal proceeds are not in cash, criminals convert the proceeds into cash to hide the fact that it came from crime. In fraud scams, for example, you know of fake lottery wins, right? Phishing or hacking bank accounts. The criminal causes funds to be transferred from the victim's bank account to his own, and then the funds are quickly withdrawn in cash. In robbery, the stolen car, the stolen phone, the stolen jewelry is quickly sold for cash. So any increase in these kinds of crime leads to more cash in criminal hands. And then this leads to the commission of another crime, the crime of money laundering. So what is money laundering? It is the process by which a criminal introduces his dirty money into the financial system through different techniques. At the end of the process, the money is washed so that it appears to be legitimate earnings. And how much money is laundered annually? Oh, just 1.6 trillion US dollars, according to the UNODC, and that's 1,600,000 briefcases, each with 1 million US dollars. So often, an initial step in money laundering is to get rid of large amounts of cash. Consider Al Capone. You know of him, right? He needed to disguise as legitimate income the vast amounts of cash generated from his illegal gambling and bootlegging activities. So he bought all-cash laundromats, and he mixed in his dirty money with those business earnings. And then he tried to claim that the source of his riches was washing America's dirty laundry. And this technique is still used today. Criminals set up cash-intensive businesses, such as mini-marts, retail shop, beauty services. They establish bank accounts for the business, and then the criminal money deposited with the business earnings. And unlike you, criminals often use cash to buy expensive items. Cars, real estate, jewelry. Cash smuggling is very popular. The cash is concealed in very innovative ways. In cargo, in suitcases, in boats, on the person, as did the woman who was recently arrested at the Piarco International Airport. And she had 169,000 US dollars strapped to her body. So cash does seem to make criminals' lives easier. Is it possible then to make it more difficult for criminals to get cash, to use cash, basically to benefit from their crimes and at the same time to reduce crime? Well, cashless transactions is one way. Simply put, less cash in circulation equals less crime committed to capture cash. And the proposition is this: cash drives or fuels many kinds of crime. Robbery, for example, to get cash. Money laundering, which uses cash. So if we do not use cash, we, businesses and banks, would not hold cash. And that should produce a reduction in crimes committed for cash, such as robbery, and the associated crimes, such as personal injury, assault, and money laundering. And several studies have shown this causal relationship between cash and crimes committed for cash. A 2014 study by R. Wright and others found a clear correlation between a significant drop in crime and the decline in use of cash in the United States. And specifically, the study found that street crime in poor neighborhoods had decreased significantly after the introduction of a card-based system for welfare benefits. The benefits were received and spent through debit cards, which replaced checks. So the card system was found to have reduced the amount of cash on the street. And in Sweden, the Swedish National Council for Crime Prevention reported declining rates for personal robbery, banks, and security van robberies during the period 2005 and 2015. And this was attributed in part to an overall reduction in cash handling because Sweden had been promoting cashless transactions for several years. And what about our personal safety? For many of us, that is our greatest concern. But what happens when we use cash? We then have to have large quantities of cash in our possession. Businesses would have cash because we would be paying them in cash. And then in turn, banks and ATMs would need to have cash to feed our demand. And what happens then? It makes all of us and exposes all of us to the risks of robbery and injury during the course of robbery. When we use cash, we have to have cash. For law enforcement investigators, once cash is used, it's anonymous, there is no trail. So if there's a shift from cash to electronic payments, it means that transactions become more transparent and traceable. They will know who's behind the transaction. They will know where it is going. They will know where it came from. In fact, there would be a paper trail. So following the money will be easier, especially across jurisdictions. So what is the rest of the world doing about cash payments? Many countries are in fact embracing a cashless future. In Jamaica, it is now illegal to conduct a cash transaction over 1 million Jamaican dollars, and that's just 8,000 US dollars. In Sweden, cash transactions have become rare. And in the USA, according to the Federal Reserve, Americans use cash for only 30% of their transactions. But cash alternatives are not just debit cards and credit cards. Many countries are using mobile money to compete with cash. Countries such as India and China, and African countries such as Kenya. And several Caribbean countries as well are exploring mobile money opportunities, Bahamas and St. Lucia. And even our own central bank is looking at e-money technology. So what about the technology required to function in a cashless world? Would it be too challenging for older people like myself or less literate people? Well, let's look at Haiti. Haiti, a very poor country, a population of 11 million, and a literacy rate of 60%. A devastating earthquake struck in 2010. It killed many people. Humanitarian funds poured in, but could not get to the people who desperately needed it because the whole financial services infrastructure had been ruined. And the opportunity was then used to launch mobile money services. And through mobile money services, Haitians were able to receive the donor money, spend it, and store it on their mobile phones. But realistically, how difficult would it be not to use cash for our legitimate transactions? Don't we already limit our cash transactions? We pay with debit cards and credit cards. Our salaries go directly to the bank. Pension benefits, welfare benefits go into a bank account. And from that account, we pay bills. We have online banking. And now there are more ways to receive and send money faster and easier than ever before. You shop online. There are mobile wallets. There are mobile payment apps on smartphones. You know of Apple Pay, PayPal, Samsung Pay, Venmo, Zelle. And it's even possible to make contactless payments with your phone. So, a world without cash seems inevitable, if not imminent. Let us imagine we are in the year 2031. It's a Friday morning in St. James. The employees of Green Foods grocery store are busy discussing the West Indies win over England in the ICC Cricket World Cup by 7 wickets. We are imagining. Suddenly, the door bangs open, and a man with a bandana over his face announces, "This is a holdup." He points a gun at the employees and holds out a bag and says, "Put the money in here, quick, quick." The employees are nervous, but they keep calm. The manager quickly tells the man there was no cash on the premises. He points to a sign on the wall which says, "This is a cash-free location. We do not accept cash payments, e-payments only." "It's true," the manager says, "we have no cash here." Confused, the would-be robber lowers his gun and begins to leave. As he does so, he turns to one of the employees and asks, "That shop next door, you know if that shop next door takes cash?" Unfortunately for the robber, the shop next door also did not take cash. Just like paper vanished from our offices, so did paper-based cash from our wallets. Would you be ready to live without cash? For this to be your wallet? Thank you.